sleep schedule. Up at night, asleep during the day. Woke up 4 hours ago and the sun was already down. And the sad thing about it is I don't even work night shift. I don't have a job. But it's time to get the day started. Even though everyone in the city is sleeping, I'm here to review some Star Trek for you guys. So, got the coffee ready, and I'm ready, man. So let's take this sip here. It's really hot. Man, if only you could see how many takes I had to do for that last line. I was literally 6 minutes just trying to do that last line there. I was holding that coffee for a long time. Anyway, here I am. What's going on? I'm Danny Rodriguez. It's time to review Star Trek Season 1, Episode 3, titled Where No Man Has Gone Before. This episode aired on September 22nd, 1966, almost 50 years ago, man. So let's get started. Spoiler review. If you have not seen it, it's been out since 1966, so it's not my fault. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. Star Trek's freaking fantastic. And I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. I just noticed that, man. That's well, don't mind me. Anyway, Star Trek, here we go. I'm going to recap the episode, then I'll give you the pros, cons, or not really technically. It's kind of like, I tell you what I liked about it, what I didn't. And this episode was a little tidbit slower. Out of the episode 1, episode 2, and the third episode, this one was kind of the slowest one out of it, but it's the best out of the 3 so far, even though it had a really slow start, and it kind of had that, like, oh yeah, the boring feeling, but then it picked up, and then just the characters, the acting of the villain, the antagonist in this episode was just purely fantastic. I was like, this guy, he went over the top, but yet he wasn't over the top, and that was the best thing about it, is that he felt like, the guy who's the villain in here, felt like he had a blast playing this character. He did it very well. So, alright, where no man has gone before, let's get started. So, the whole episode doesn't take place on the Enterprise. We go to a planet called Delta Vega, but that's later in the episode. So, we're with our beloved crew of the USS Enterprise, Captain Kirk, Spock, Bones is not there, and Uhura is not there. I do not know why they weren't in the episode. It's the 3rd episode out of the series. You'd think that the actors would be there, but I guess they already have days off, so they're not there. Sulu's there, but yet he talks only for like a scene, basically. And then Scotty's there for a few scenes, which we finally get introduced to Scotty. And the way he talks, yeah, I can't do a Scottish accent. Oh, I can't do a Scottish accent. But, man, Scotty's there, and it was really cool. It's like Simon Pegg, from modern, there. I'm like, that's the Scotty, man. It's fantastic. He's a cool, he's already a funny character. So we start off USS Enterprise. They're there. They're on the deck. They're on the board, and everything's kind of going on. There's a little stuff, They're passing by, and they want to do warp speed, but all of a sudden there's this force field going on, and they pass through the force field. They end up energizing or like teleporting this object in space from another spacecraft, and we find out that when they go through this force field, there's this weird thing that goes on. I totally forgot what it is, but like there's 2 people on the Enterprise that has like high brain wave activity, or they could see like the future somehow, or they have some sort of special ability than the crew. So when they pass through the force field, Gary Mitchell and Dr. Elizabeth Denher end up getting shocked by it, and Gary Mitchell ends up getting his eyes glowing, which you see in the picture before, in the beginning. So he ends up becoming powerful. He becomes godlike. He can make things move with his mind. He could kind of, he could actually do a lot of stuff. He is basically like God. He can make things appear. He can make things disappear. He can make things float. He could even persuade people. He could shock people. He has shocking abilities. So he is basically a god. And that's where Dr. Daner kind of, goes to him, and he's going to end up becoming a villain right from the start once he's like all with his weird eyes and the effects. And long story short, Kirk, and he's one of Kirk's best friends. And so they end up making it like, well, let's take him to Delta Vega. We may have to kill him, or we may have to leave him stranded on that planet. But even he could read people's minds, Gary. So he could also read, like, see their images that they've seen. He could see, like, he knows that they're gonna, like, he knows that Kirk, wants to abandon him on a planet, so he kind of could read their minds and be like, you're going to take me to Delta Vega and leave me there. That's not going to do you any good. And I just love the way that this guy talks. It's 1966, and it has that kind of staticky mic, and he's like, You know, you can't do this, Jim. You can't do that to me. And it's just the way he plays it, and I thought it was contacts at first, but it's like effects in the eyes, of course, like computer effects and everything. And the way that they did it, and let me tell you, this episode has one of the best special effects, is when the Enterprise is flying in space. It is beautifully done, and I was looking at it, and I was like, damn, 1966 doing this shit? Like, it was very well done, man. Very beautiful effects in here. So they go to Delta Vega, a bunch of stuff happens, Spock has a new blaster and everything that Scotty did. All of a sudden, they're going to blow up, like, where he's at. Like, they're going to blow up the planet or something because they have to kill him. Well, that's where everything back turns. They don't turn the power off. Gary ends up strangling with his mind, like this cable, and this guy that was going to detonate the bomb, he ends up strangling him, and he ends up electrocuting James and Spock. And we find out that Dr. Daner, the girl, beautiful girl by the way, she also has the powers like him. So it just took her a long time to transform into that godlike state of possessing her. So that ends up happening, or the power that she ended up getting, and all this stuff starts happening. He brings like apples and shit to where they live, and he's like, we are gods. We could be here. We could make this planet livable. Like, he ends up doing all this stuff, and by the time you know it, Kirk wakes up. He tells the crew, go to the Enterprise. If I don't reach back in 12 hours and leave without me, warp speed, do all that stuff, or, just leave me behind. So he ends up going after Gary Mitchell, which again is his best friend, or used to be one of his best friends. So they were friends since the Enterprise. Since the beginning of Starfleet, and when they went to the Academy. So from that on, he goes and he has the blaster. He looks all cool and everything, and this is where it just gets super intense. And I was amazed, and I love cinematography, I love special effects, I love the look, I love the background, I love how Star Trek, it's vast, and it's just you could tell it's a painted canvas in the back, or a painted wall. Like, it's just a bunch of, like, it's actually there, it's just painted and all that. It's like so beautifully done, and I love just how they ended up doing the fight scene, because Gary Mitchell versus Captain Kirk, man, and it was so damn good, this fight. I mean, literally, she was like, and I'm gonna look like a fool doing it, I really am, but he was like, just like, oh, boom, 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 and he's hitting him, and he's doing the boom, boom, and he's hitting him, and, Gary Mitchell, he's shocking him, and then Dr. Daner ends up seeing that Gary's not right, that Gary is a madman, that he's too much power, that Dr. Daner, she can't, she's seeing like, wait, I'm still human. I'm part of me for a minute, still human. I have to think like a human. And she's saying, this is wrong. This is wrong what he's doing. He's abusing his power. So after that, she ends up shocking him, and then he shocks her, and she shocks him, and he shocks her, and that gives Captain Kirk some time to end up hitting him. I love it because he even has the power, and he dug instantly Captain Kirk's grave and the tombstones there. Long story short, Kirk throws him in the pit. He ends up shooting the laser to the rock. The rock crushes Gary Mitchell, and Dr. Daner, I believe, ends up staying on the planet, and Kirk leaves. And how did the episode end? I kind of already forgot. My God, excuse me. Oh no, they went to warp speed and everything, right? So at the end, the Enterprise is fixed. He goes back on there, and he does the thing like, what was it again? Gary Mitchell. He's like, Gary Mitchell. Star date, whatever. He died. The report, like the death report, and he was like, he died honorably. He made them die honorably, as in saying, like, in the report, like, they died on, like, serving their Starfleet, serving their crew, and doing all that, because they didn't ask to get those powers. They didn't ask to be chosen for it. That's not their fault. So, anyway, the basics of it, man. The effects in here are amazing. I love the laser in there. Captain Kirk versus Gary Mitchell was a very badass fight. It was really, 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 really fun. It's one of my favorites, and I love the way it's filmed. I love the way it looks. It's not overdone. It actually felt gritty. It felt really real. He was throwing him around, and then he was getting thrown around, and Kirk got his ass beat, and his shirt's tearing, and it's William Shatner, man. It was crazy. I really did enjoy this episode a lot, man. So I'd have to give this a it did start off slow. The first 5 or 10 minutes were just kind of like Spock's wearing the yellow thing too, and I'm like, you wear your blue again. Why are you wearing that? You? And he's like a turtleneck and shit. I'm like, Jesus, Spock, and all that's happening. And other than that, it's just a slow opening. But again, the effects, the sparks and the fireworks, and the Enterprise is breaking down, and they get shocked, and just all that sort of stuff. But other than that, practical effects, the production, the look, Delta Vega, the planet looked really cool. And then at the end, warp speed. Except, Mr. Sulu's not on the... I think that's what I love about this show, man. Mr. Sulu, Mr. Spock. Oh, I don't even does he say Mr. Bones? He just says Bones. Or Scotty, and then Mr. Sulu. Like, warp speed, Mr. Sulu. Just so much stuff like that, man. It's just, oh, God, I love Star Trek so much. Anyway, I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10. Like, this is one of the best episodes. I mean, I've only seen the first 3 so far, but it just I have not seen out of those 3 episodes, they're nothing disappointing really. It's been fun, it's been entertaining, the writing's really fun, the women are beautiful. Very, very, I mean, I gotta be honest, man, if I was in the 60s, Jesus, man, you got foxy ladies up in there, man, very foxy as hell. Well, where was Bones and Uhura? Like, they never mentioned, like, why wasn't Bones and Uhura aware of this? I'm assuming they're not off the ship. They're probably on the ship, but that means Bones and Uhura are boning. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. You could subscribe to the channel because I review Star Trek. So, yeah, thank you. You could hit that subscribe button. I'm also going to be reviewing a bunch of other shows on Netflix, such as I don't know when. I have a lot of free time right now, instead of doing I might as well watch Netflix. And, you can do both at the same time, actually, but then you gotta watch the show. So, anyway, The Wonder Years, I'm thinking about just old shows, just all old shows there. The Wonder Years, a lot of old shows. The Munsters, Beverly Hillbillies. A bunch of different old shows, man, and just great stuff. Even Saved by the Bell, stuff like that. Just a bunch of old sitcoms or hour-long programs, stuff like that. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Also, Married with Children reviews coming soon. I don't know when, because I'm going to meet Bud Bundy in the fall at Comic-Con, so it's going to be really cool for that. Thanks so much. Make sure to like, comment, and share with your friends, and hit that subscribe button if you want. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, as always. Make sure that you guys stay safe. Have a good day, have a good week, have a good month, and a good year. Make sure to live long and prosper.